We are rolling out Project Inclusion to address behaviors that tear at the fabric of our force. Issues such as a lack of diversity, discrimination, sexual harassment, sexual assault, and suicides.
Además, estamos implementando el proyecto Inclusión para enfrentar a los comportamientos que desgarran el tejido de nuestra fuerza. Temas como la falta de diversidad, la discriminación, el acoso sexual, el asalto sexual y suicidios.
With that, I'll be happy to take your questions.
All right, first question will go to Rose Bader as far as the strike.
Hi, sir. Thank you for taking the time to come down to Texas. My question relates to looking into the unit specifically. I know from the outside looking in, there's been some instances where it seems like leadership maybe was negligent or didn't get the job done even as early back as when Vanessa first went missing, all the way to Specialist Robinson being able to escape from barracks confinement. So I'm wondering what does it look like as you look into that unit, and could we see someone maybe get relieved or something like that?
So we have a series of investigations, obviously the criminal investigation related to the specific individuals that conspired for the murder or helped to cover up the murder. So that's being handled by the Assistant U.S. Attorney here in Texas. We have a 15-6 investigation into the unit, as well as an independent review that will be coming down to Fort Hood at the end of this month. So we'll have to do a lot of coordination on the findings related to these reviews, and then once that information comes back, make determinations of appropriate levels of accountability.
Okay, and I just want to confirm in my follow-up, the 15-6, is that looking just at sexual harassment within 3rd CR, or is that also looking into sort of negligence as letting something like this continue or happen in the unit?
I believe the 15-6 is specifically into the issue for Vanessa, for her murder, and then so they'll find out specifics related to her. That the command climate review that I referenced, that I instructed, the independent review, will come down and look also at the command climate installation. So is there a sexual harassment type of toxic environment that exists that can help us better understand more broadly? Is it 3rd ACR? Is it larger? Is it the entire installation?
Okay, thank you.
Anything you want to add, General?
So just sort of talking past each other, the 15-6 investigation into sexual harassment is looking at reports of harassment that were discovered as part of the investigation into Specialist Guillen's murder.
Okay. I think that clears it up.
Okay.
Hi, Ms. McCarthy. My name is Jasmine Caldwell. I'm from KCEN, which is the NBC affiliate here locally. And the question I wanted to ask is, well, last week, Vanessa Guillen's family met with President Donald Trump, and I was wondering, have you reached out to the family? If you have, what did you talk to them about? If you have not, why haven't you reached out?
So I have also spoken publicly, but we've sent condolences to the family. Obviously, General McConville participated in a memorial service here. He actually met with the family for over an hour as well. I've said publicly, be very open to meeting with the family. We have not been contacted directly about whether the family would want to meet with me directly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Secretary McCarthy, how are you? Brandon Hamilton at KWTX News 10, the CBS affiliate here. My question for you is, being the Secretary of the Army, not only Vanessa's case, but there have been other cases involving Fort Hood soldiers and sadly being found murdered or dead surrounding the base. To the Americans that are watching in your leadership, what do you tell them to know that change is really going to happen?
So I've met over the last 24 hours with soldiers at every echelon, private first classes all the way to the general officers, and told them that we're sending down an independent group of investigators to understand the root causes associated with the rise of felonies, violent acts, to better understand why this is happening at this installation. The numbers are high here. They are the highest in most cases for sexual assault and harassment and murders for our entire formation, U.S. Army. So we are getting an outside look to help us to get to those root causes and understand that so that we can make those changes. Well, and the point of emphasis being that we're going to put every resource and all of the energy we can to this entire institution behind fixing these problems.
And a follow-up, in terms of Vanessa's case, how do you change a culture that, as we've learned to know, she was allegedly murdered on base and what transpired after? How do you change that culture? I'm markedly disappointed and saddened by that. One of our own killing a teammate. And, it takes a shot at the system, and it rattles the system of the trust that you have to have in this profession because of just how hard it is and what we do around the world. It has hit us hard. And the only thing we can do is come together and have very hard conversations and invest in each other and learn about each other so that we know who our teammates are. I mean, I did 9 sessions in the last 24 hours, just for hours, talking to soldiers. I'm from Chicago. This is where I grew up, my family, and just doing more of that. And I think for us knowing each other better and improving upon the type of teammates that we are for the climate that we want and who we need to be. These are very difficult things. At times, there are people from, we're the Army, we're a reflection of the country. And at times, some people infiltrate our ranks. We got to find them, we got to root them out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I'm Steve Wilson with the Killeen Daily Herald here in town. I just wanted to clarify a little bit about the Vanessa Guillen case, what we've been talking about here. There has been a bill that has been introduced or is about in the process of being prepared to be introduced. I am Vanessa Guillen bill, and I was just wondering, do you support that bill specifically? Have you been in touch with members of Congress?
So we're in constant communication with the committees of jurisdiction, and as they go through the National Defense Authorization Act, which we do every year, which lays out the authorities for the Department of Defense. So when they bring up amendments like this to add to the bill, we communicate with the committee to best understand the intent of that language and also how to implement. So we are in conversations right now.
Okay, so you do support at least the intent of the bill.
We have to really understand the clarity behind the language so that we know that we can implement it and that it'll work in our formations.
Okay. All right, thanks very much.
Sure.
Debbie Strauss with NBC News. You announced Project Inclusion, which looks at things like lack of diversity and sexual harassment. But before this, there was SHARPS, created multiple years ago. And so why, after all these years, are we still talking about sexual harassment and the concept of a toxic culture?
So the SHARP program, the Project Inclusion encompasses a lot of other things as well. With sexual harassment and sexual assault, it has been a challenge for the whole country as well as the U.S. Army. And a lot of that is just the consistency of meeting and having the conversations like the ones we've had over the last 24 hours. They're hard, they're uncomfortable, but it's a way for us to continue to learn about each other and realize that an act like that is like committing a fratricide within your own formation, of hurting a teammate. And so it's that consistency in sustaining these conversations. At times they ebb and flow, so we have to have the discipline to do that every day.
So where do you go from here after having these conversations?
The conversations don't end. We have to keep doing them with the types of consistency, making that investment of time. The independent review will also help us at root causes specifically to this installation related to that issue. So we have to continue to learn, but we have to continue to make the investment of our time to sit across from teammates and have very hard conversations.
Would you consider rooting out members of this installation?
Could you be more specific?
If you find that there are systemic issues here after these conversations?
If the the conclusions are such that point to leaders or individuals in particular, of course we would take the appropriate accountability.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, sir. How are you today? This is Brandy Cruz, and I'm the news editor for the Fort Hood Sentinel. I'm working in the Public Affairs Office. After reading the affidavit released by Bell County, it didn't really seem like Vanessa's death had anything to do with sexual harassment. I was wondering, has there actually been findings that say that that sexual harassment played a part in this case?
The investigations are ongoing to the point that General Eflon stated. When my comments are specifically that it has ignited that issue within our ranks. So to be very clear, that was what my remarks were related to, and that is how many women have come out on social media. I am Vanessa too. That's what I was referencing. We are investigating to ensure that there was no sexual harassment associated with that, and with the investigations ongoing.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Secretary. Noelle Mendoza with Fox 44. A lot of people are heartbroken, calling for justice and demanding Fort Hood be shut down. How do you respond to those calls?
The anger and frustration is, in a case like Vanessa, it's necessary. I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm disappointed. We're heartbroken. But there's still amazing contributions by men and women from this installation. These leaders that we've met over the last 24 hours are incredibly disappointed too. Vanessa's our teammate. And we let her down. We let her family down. And it hurts. But the amazing contributions and people that are on this installation have to continue to endure. We rely on these units to protect our way of life. We're going to do everything we can to prevent these types of things from happening again, to learn from this, and to move on. But we will do everything we can to protect her legacy by making enduring changes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Adam Schindler, I'm with KXXV 25, or the ABC affiliate here. There is a lot of other soldiers who have been reported missing and found dead. Is there a change that you're thinking about possibly making when it comes to reporting them AWOL instead of actually investigating them missing when they're found dead later?
So this has been a topic of debate at the highest levels of the Army for the last several weeks, of just our reporting policies associated with a soldier. Are they AWOL? Are they DUS 1? What are they? And when do you make these determinations? And I think we do have to take a very hard look at that. General McConville, our Chief of Staff, and I have talked about this at length, of just how we do that and how we continue to look for our soldiers when they end up missing. And so we're going to take a look at that, and we may make a change related to that downstream.
Okay, and just to follow up on with your review, if it comes down to that there is leadership at certain levels and there is leadership change, how would you change leadership at a base of this size?
It all depends on, what the root causes point to, at what echelon. Was it an individual? Was it a systemic problem? What we tried to do, these are some world-class investigators that we've got to help us with this. We told them, we gave them broad intent, but we don't want to try to bracket their investigation. We want them to come back with what they learned, with fresh eyes, in order to help us understand our challenges.
Thank you, sir.
Chris Kilmore from ABC News. I was just wondering if you have any details about how Specialist Robinson was able to leave the post and obtain a firearm in the hours before his death.
Do you have any specifics on that? Or this is under investigation, but do we have?
It's under investigation.
Okay, so we'll be able to relay those facts once the investigation concludes.
Okay, and then similarly, if there was any information about whether he was under a suicide watch or any other kind of formal observation before he absconded from the post.
You mean medical supervision?
Well, just if I know he was confined to his barracks, from what I understand, but I don't know if there was any additional level of observation to make sure he was being where he was supposed to be?
Issues related to the lead up to his death, we'll be able to report that out once the investigations are complete.
Okay, thank you.
For clarity, he was not under arrest at the point that he fled barracks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hugo Chavez from Univision. So the family, 1 hour ago, they say what you say, that they didn't receive any call or message from you. Do you have a special message for Guillen's family?
So I send written condolences to the families. We send written condolences. I've sent a letter to the family. We usually send them hard copy. With respect to the family, my deepest and sincerest condolences to the Guillen family. That we are incredibly disappointed that we let Vanessa down and we let their family down. And that we vow for the rest of our time in service in our life to prevent these types of acts and to find out how we could prevent them in the future so that it never happens again.
Actually, the family say that tomorrow is going to be here in front of Fort Hood at 4 p.m. every Friday. So are you going to be here or no?
I was flying back this evening to the Pentagon because I have meetings tomorrow with the Secretary of Defense, but I can look at my schedule to see if we could accommodate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary. Eric Franklin with KWTX. As a veteran myself, I know that speaking with officers sometimes is hard. Did you get the desired result from speaking with the PFC, as you said earlier, that you wanted, or was it where they're trying to tell you what you wanted to hear?
No, I think the conversations were incredibly candid, as they often are with soldiers, and talking about issues that we have and how do we address them together, how do we perform better. So I always learn whenever I have these opportunities. Excuse me. And so it's a great opportunity anytime I get out of the Pentagon and get down to units and have these types of discussions.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. Joel Lopez at 25 News, the ABC affiliate here. A lot of soldiers' families fear retaliation, especially during times like these. How is it you've been able to, the people you've communicated with on base, on post, how do you know that they're actually giving you the genuine answer and not just maybe people who are giving you kind of what you want to know? How are you reaching out to the people who do fear retaliation and getting their genuine concerns?
So, I meet with them, and I'll be in there by myself, or I'll have somebody from my staff that's like a requisite grade. So that's how I kind of shape or frame the meetings. We make sure that they understand that none of these things will be attributed to them directly by name. And I just talk to them about who I am, where I grew up, and I try to emphasize to them, I'm a person, I'm a human being just like you. And if you don't tell me about the challenges you face, there's no way to fix them. There's no way to address them to try to make them better. So to just try to make them feel comfortable in the discussion. It's not formal. We just kind of sit around a table and have a conversation. Usually try to do it over a meal because people relax a little bit and they'll open themselves up and try to trust each other. We don't want the fear of retaliation. It's horrible. We don't want that. But in order to do that, you just have to be willing to invest the time, hours and hours of your day to do that.
But how are you finding these people? Do you have a list that you kind of go down, or are you on your own walking around and just? So
my staff will tell them kind of the grades that we're looking for, the skill sets, and try to go between various units. So we just try to be as random as we can in the way we find the men and women to have these discussions, because we don't want some prepared kind of event. We just want to have what's on your mind.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have time for one more question. Are there any more questions? Okay, last question, sir.
Hi, I'm Rocky Bridges with KCN News. We'd like to know if the president has spoken with you after he's spoken with the family.
No, I got feedback from the meeting from Secretary of Defense, my boss, Dr. Mark Esper, that directly related to the discussion. He had offered his condolences, and he vowed to put every resource at his disposal to help address these types of challenges. whether that's law enforcement or within the Department of Defense, and I believe he offered even to pay for the funeral himself. No, but he had about a 15-minute discussion with the Guillen family.
Thank you, sir.